What club would be reckless enough to hire a total nobody in one of the most important positions? Well, you might have seen from the thumbnail, but Manchester United did that. We've been their director of football for 18 months now, so if you want to see our first moves, check out the first episode of this series. But today we're kicking things up a notch. Last year, Manchester City won the league at Old Trafford on the last game of the season, so even though we'd promised Ruben Amorim that he would be safe this year, he definitely isn't. Over the past few weeks, we've been hunting for interest, and of course, with Manchester United almost rebuilt, the interest was massive. Sure, we had some chances like Scott Parker and Daniel Farke apply, but we also had some serious candidates like Simone Inzaghi, Hansi Flick, and the best of the lot, Zinedine Zidane. We've got a good squad that's aging and a big budget, and Zidane proved how well he can rebuild in a similar situation at Real Madrid several times in the past decade. So that was that. Amorim was sacked and Zidane was his replacement. Within an hour of his press conference ending, we received an email from him, a list of positions that he wanted to strengthen. It seems like he really does not rate our front three. We better get to work because the season starts in just 3 weeks. Let's start with our striker. Xerxes has some interest from Spain, so his sale allows us to go big on an Argentinian striker. It's not Lautaro Martinez, instead, welcome to Manchester, Julian Alvarez. With Bruno now 33, he had some interest from Italy, so we let him go to Atalanta, but how can we replace our club captain? We're going to copy what Arsenal did a few years ago. They took a young attacking midfielder who wasn't getting much game time, and Odegaard repaid their faith in full. We're doing the exact same thing, but with Arda Güler. He's young, he's marketable, and still able to improve, so he is the perfect signing for Manchester United. Finally, on the right wing, Zidane has some ideas. It's clear who his preferred first choice is though. He's spoken about Kubo in the press dozens of times since he left as Madrid manager, so we've reunited Kubo and Zidane, and of course, it doesn't hurt to have a Japanese player at a club as big as Manchester United. If he does well, then shirt sales are gonna go through the roof. Talking about shirt sales though, we had to spend some time deciding on our new kit. Nike, Umbro and Adidas had all sent samples with varying different marketing budgets, but for us there was only one choice. This is the home kit we'll be wearing for the next 12 months, Manchester United and Umbro reunited at last. The new team was looking really good in our pre-season tour of Asia. Vuskovic, Murillo and Alvarez all put in man-of-the-match performances in pre-season matches, while Ederson, Murillo, Cunha, Aitnori, Uedrago, Banzuzi and Arda Güler all continued to improve. But would they improve enough to be able to win the title? That's all that matters to us this year. Of course, Zidane never had any experience playing in the Premier League, but he was already managing his first game. Leeds United were his first opponents, but with how well we performed, we should probably not call them opponents and instead call them victims. It was ruthless, it was decisive, and it was the total opposite of the United that we'd taken over back in November 2024. Towards the end of August, we also received a bid that we just had to accept. Harry Kane was wanted by Chelsea, and we were probably past using him. This would free a spot for Arda Güler, which would then free a spot for Uedrago, and for 60 million for someone this old. That's undeniably very good business. So, while we were flying on the pitch, finally, some top secret news was released to the press. Our redevelopments had been progressing ahead of schedule, so this was actually going to be the last season at Old Trafford. This led to a huge opportunity. We could get naming rights to the new stadium and give Zidane that budget in January to help improve the team and go for a quadruple. With the new team in place on and off the pitch, things were going really well. You can tell there's been a high squad turnover from how many different kinds of style of play there are in our squad, but even Jim Ratcliffe would approve of such a big financial outlay. In terms of wages, we're still saving money compared to when we joined, and bargains like Uedrago for just 6 million are now performing on the European stage. In the Premier League, we kept climbing, and entering December, we were yet again in a title race. It was a comfortable second place with still some room to improve, but we'd also qualified 6th in the Champions League group stages and made it to the last 8 of the Carabao Cup. Somehow, there was actually a very small chance that Zidane could get a quadruple in his first season. In January, the final leftovers from the time United were run by the Glazers were allowed to leave the club, and in our 3rd January transfer window, we could go big. Ezequiel Banzuzi has been a good signing, but when Zidane wants an improvement, Zidane gets an improvement. We know exactly who to sign. Aurelien Tchouameni and Ederson together in midfield could be one of the best in the entire world. But for the rest of the month, we decide to cool it on transfers and save money for the next summer. While we chill in the director's box, things stay very hot on the pitch. we get more Premier League wins and continue this absolutely crazy run of form. In fact, a lot of the pressure post-transfer window was actually coming from the Champions League. If we somehow won that, I think we could officially declare ourselves the saviours of United. Now we're getting quite deep into Season 3, our signings from the first season are starting to reach their potentials. I think it's clear to say that Murillo is the heir to Thiago Silva's throne, and Ouedraogo has become a locked-in German international. Because of that though, we just don't seem like we're going to lose. Zidane's 4-2-3-1 dispatches team after team. It doesn't matter if you're Leeds, Forest, Liverpool or Barcelona, when you come up against Zidane in this form, you're just going to lose. Between February and April, Alvarez bags 15 goals in 15 games, and slowly, we're looking like we could be on track to repeat last season's huge final day. But before then, we actually have a cup final. This is the first cup final since we took charge of United, the Carabao Cup. It was against Unai Emery's Villa, a manager that Zidane has never lost against. It was by far the lowest pressure of the 3 cup finals we could be in this year, and I think that showed on the players. There was definitely no nerves from Alvarez because he's performed in way bigger games than this, but that finish is just unreal, and just like that, we were leading in the final at Wembley. At least we did for about 10 minutes. Watkins would level, and it was just kind of like a carnival atmosphere at Wembley, but then came some controversy. Llorente's floated cross was looped to Alvarez, and that was an elite finish, and the ball found the net. At least until VAR confirmed that one of Alvarez's toenails was just offside. Onana was also on top form. He did a crazy good double save and kept the game at 1-1, but there was nothing he could do about Marlon's shot just before half-time. We had hired Zidane thinking he was the man to win on the biggest stage, but maybe we were wrong. Would he have the confidence to make changes at half-time? He would. A triple sub, Kubo moved centrally, Ahmad replaced Gula, and Ugarte was given a rare appearance at the base of the midfield. Zidane thought the changes had worked when Alvarez was firing wide, but personally, I think some of these substitutions were made with the next match in mind, against Manchester City. It seemed like the team thought the same, because Marlon put Villa 3-1 up, and it seemed like there was no real effort to get United back into the game at that point. Or was there? Because substitute Ahmed would make it 3-2. There was still 20 minutes left to equalise. Former Wolves man Cunha tried his best, but his best wasn't quite good enough. Before we had another chance, it was game over. That was a worrying collapse, and something we'll have to keep our eye on for the rest of the season. We left the ground before the cup lift, and maybe we were just cursed to never win anything as director of football. It won't take too long to find out, because back in the league, we only have 5 games left this season. We're level with both Liverpool and Manchester City, but we're out of the Champions League and out of the FA Cup. One slip up and we're out of the title race too, but the fixture gods have been quite kind to us. Here are the top three's final 5 games. They both have to play each other 3 games before the end of the season, and our final 5 matches are by far the easiest. Against Forest, we give a defensive masterclass, our loyalty to Onana paying off big time. He's one of only 3 players in this squad to have appeared in over 100 games for United. With 4 games to go, we were playing against Burnley, and they were promoted last year. They went ahead against us, but with 2 nice goals, we confirmed that the 3 promoted teams would all go straight back down for the 4th year in a row. After that, we drew with 6th place West Ham, but on the same day, Liverpool and Manchester City also drew. Just 2 games to go, and we beat Spurs, but Man City and Liverpool all also won, meaning with just a single game left, any of those 3 teams could still win the Premier League. So, it's the final day of the season. It's Reds versus Blues versus Reds, and it's more than just a game. For the entire northwest region of England, this is the best finale in Premier League history. We'll actually be watching all 3 matches, with Liverpool facing Luton Town, City facing Newcastle, while we're playing against Brighton away. Our rebuilt side walks out, Tchouaméni given the armband by his compatriot Zidane. Who knows, maybe in 90 minutes time, the new signing will be lifting Manchester United's 14th Premier League title and their 21st First Division title. All 3 games kick off at 3 PM, and the first action of the day actually happened at St James's Park. A corner was whipped in, and Haaland somehow would miss the target. Back on the south coast, the first chance fell to Brighton, but somehow Vuskovic would scramble it clear. Before we even saw the ball bounce, we switched our attention back to the Newcastle match. After their near miss from the corner earlier, Haaland would get another chance, but it was saved, and so was the rebound. How often does Haaland miss 3 good chances like that? Maybe it is our lucky day. Well, back to Brighton, and they're on the attack. Disaster. It's a really good goal for the hosts, but still, we have plenty of time to do our own comeback, and I have full faith in Zidane. Zidane has full faith in Alvarez, and that nearly paid off straight away after the Brighton goal. We really do have what it takes to get a comeback here, and that's all we need to do. In fact, if things go our way in the Newcastle and Luton games, even a loss might be fine. The first chance falls to Luton, but the Liverpool keeper stands still and watches Adebayo's shot float wide. The one thing we can't do now is go behind 2-0. A draw would win us the title as things stand, but Brighton keep pushing for a second. It's a simple save for Onana in the end. Back in the northeast, City turn on the style. Some good one-touch football leads to Haaland getting the ball high up the pitch. He flicks it onto Foden, and what a goal that is. City are now first place in the Premier League. Things go from bad to even worse for United. Cherki smashes one from the edge of the box and gives Liverpool their own lead. As things stand, they're now in first place, and United have dropped down from first to third. Just before half-time, we were actually nearly killed off. It was a fairly easy chance, but as the whistle blows in all three games, we're down in third place. So, with City and Liverpool both ahead, we've got 45 minutes to save our season. There's nothing we can do now. We've picked the players, we've picked the manager, the die is cast, and it's on our head if we choke from here. That's what we want to see. United attacking and making some chances. I'm not sure why Alvarez chose to go near post there, but come on lads, we can definitely still do this. Attention turns to Newcastle once again, and there's a chance, and it's Chavez. He found the space between the centre-backs and smashed home the equaliser. We're back up to second. All we need now is 2 goals to win this title. So first, Newcastle got their equaliser, and now Luton are pushing to equalise too. Adebayo has a good shot saved, and hopefully the Hatters can get the goal that we need them to get. Keep pushing, guys. We can definitely get back into this match too. Kubo is the latest man to try his best, but his long shot is saved out for a corner. We're not great from corners, but it is a chance for Murillo, yet to score for United. We're doing everything but put the ball in the back of the net. Over in Newcastle, there's been some questionable defending. If Brighton could be this careless on the ball in our game, that would be nice, but somehow Haaland hasn't taken advantage. More action in the City game now. Foden cuts inside like prime Robin, and it's a nice flick through to Haaland. It's smashed in near post, 2-1, and City are back in control of their tie. We've still not given up though, and that's great to see. Gula probably could have taken a touch there, but the header misses, and we're almost out of time. I'm sure you can tell there's a lot going on in all 3 games, but there has been a goal on the south coast. Have Manchester United equalised? Well, it's Brighton on the attack, and it's Rutter with a top-class finish. The former Leeds man will absolutely love that, and I think United are out of this competition. And that's that. Even with £350 million of reinforcements and rebuilding, this United team seems cursed, or at least I seem cursed, to never win any trophies. So even with Newcastle starting Salah, Isaac and Gordon as their front 3, they didn't have the firepower to beat City. The only question now is what has happened in those last 20 minutes at Liverpool. So, even though we now know we are out of the running for this title, it's still interesting to try and find out who is going to win, and Samuel Edozie forced a huge save from the Georgian keeper in the 71st minute. Luton had a really good counter-attacking record this season. They could have countered from this corner and got the goal that would really have changed things, but Konate would meet it, off the crossbar, Gueye would react first, and that was 2-0. This title is Liverpool's to lose, and Adebayo had another chance to make this really interesting between them and City, but the volley was saved off the line, and that's that. Liverpool are the champions, something that no Manchester United fan wanted to see when this season started.